I'm back. Okay, this one we're gonna try to actually make ourselves a game, and I got thinking the easiest game I can think of, and it shouldn't be that hard to do, is to make a coin flip game. Okay, so we're gonna have a coin that you're gonna hit start, and it flips up in the air, and it comes down, it lands on either heads or tails, and you gotta guess whether it's heads or tails, and based on the guess, you're gonna either win or lose. Um, yeah, so we'll kind of draw it out and learn a bunch of stuff along the way. Coin flip, I promise you, this is going to teach you a lot of good stuff um, about Scratch. We're not up to cannons yet, but that's okay. So I just went ahead and went file new, and I'm going to title this one Coin Flip. And I'm going to say goodbye to Mr. Cat Sprite, and I'm going to go ahead and create my own sprite. So I can paint my own sprites, and here's our canvas to be able to actually get a little bit more creative here. I'm going to show you either have vector mode or bitmap mode. I really like vector mode, I think, a lot better for some reasons. But first off, we're going to need a coin to flip, right? So I'm going to go ahead and grab my circle. I'm going to hit shift while I do it so it can make a perfectly round circle. You probably know that from paint. Like if I don't hit shift, it'll make an oval, which I don't want. I want a nice circle, and I can see how big it is up on my screen over here. And that is way too big, so I'm going to go ahead and shrink it. And I'm going to shrink it a little bit more. And that looks like a good enough size for a coin for me. And I am going to color it with a fill because I want it to be a nice cold coin. And I'm going to use a pencil and a color. This looks good. And I'm going to make a head. Yay. I could have done some fancy stuff with curves and that kind of stuff. That's not the goal for this one. The goal for this one is just to learn how to do this. And then I'm going to, let's see, what should we do? Let's go ahead and right mouse click up here. I'm going to duplicate that. And I need the tails. So I got my same one, and you can tell I'm on that sprite. And I am going to go ahead and get in my color, and I'm going to color this all the way filled with, get rid of all these lines here. Go away. Okay, good. And by the way, I can definitely zoom in, which is often very, very handy. I got heads here. I'm going to make a tails. And I've done this before, so the best I can come up with tails is a nice horse's tail. I happen to be an excellent artist. So here's a horse, this is hind end, and there's his tail, nice fluffy tail. And we'll make it look like there's the, see there? You didn't know I was that good, did you? Okay. There's the horse's tail. Oops. Okay. And that's like a Palomino. He's got a little color on him. Okay, so I got a tail. And now what I need to do is I'm going to animate this thing, and you'll see. So I need one more. So it's going to flip back and forth from heads to tails, just like we did with the sprite that was walking. Except I need one that's intermediate. And I think actually some of you guys in this class have done this with me before. So I'm going to go right mouse click, and I'm going to duplicate that one more time. And this time, see, I already have the horse, and this is going to hopefully look like a blur. So I'm going to take my pencil and sort of recreate right over the top of the horse, the head part of it. And then I'm going to choose my select button. I'm going to select the whole guy, and I'm going to squish it. Now, the centering tool is kind of important here. So I'm going to be careful without going into too much detail. And I'm going to squish him. I'm going to squish him. And I can kind of get a feel for what it's going to look like this. Now watch, if I go like this, it's going to, whoops, well, that didn't work out well. If I get this off center somehow, try okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to highlight this whole thing, and I'm going to group all this stuff together so it's all one. Did you see what I just did there? I highlighted everything, and there's a group button, so I group this. But if I move this over here, you'll notice heads, tails, heads, tails. Whoa, this guy's way over here. That's not cool. So here's a pro tip. You see this little set costume center button? So I can go ahead and choose the costume center of this guy right here, because oftentimes it's really important to make sure the centers line up. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this guy's center as right in the center of him. I'm going to choose this guy's center. Don't worry, we'll fix everything in a minute. Right here, and hooray. So now, and I can move this guy over here to respect it. So look at flip, flip, flip. So let's get this coin to flipping. So my goal is I'm going to have this coin start with heads. We'll start with costume 1, and it will flip, 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 flip up, and flip, 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 flip down, and hopefully we're going to have it land on a random head or tail until somebody is going to win. How are we going to do that, Sebesky? Well, let me tell you. First off, we learned a little bit of stuff from before. So let's go ahead and start this whole thing on a coin flip, and we know how to initialize stuff. So let's have it start right where it sits at -15, -117. And whatever costume it is, just because we know how this works now, let's go ahead, whether it's heads or tails, we're going to switch to, we always want it to start on costume 1. So this is kind of like initializing everything. We're going to switch it to costume 1. And you'll notice, by the way, when I drop this down, it's smart enough to realize that I have already made 3 costumes for this sprite. And so I think a lot of you guys are seeing how this is probably going to play out. So let's just go ahead and get her done. I can go event control rather, and let's just put another one of these nice little repeat loops. And we're going to switch to costume. It starts at costume 1. So remember, now you'll get the idea here. We're going to switch to costume 3, which is our flip. And I am going to wait a very short time. And I'm going to say I'm only going to wait, like, let's start with 0.1 second, because your eye works pretty fast. And then I'm going to right mouse click and duplicate, and I'm going to switch to costume 2, wait 0.1 second. And then I'm going to switch back to costume 1 and wait 0.2 second. So I'm going to jam all that in my loop, and hopefully I'm going to read through this in my mind. I'm switching to costume 3, which is my flip. It's going to show me my tails. It's going to show me costume 1. It's going to show me my tails. And so right now it should just flip right in place. Let's see what happens. Okay, that's a flipping coin. I love it. But now we have to get to move a little bit. So let's go ahead and get to motion. And in this case, the XY coordinates you remember from your 3rd grade math. X is this way, Y is this way. So we need to change our Y. So let's go ahead and just put a couple change Y's in here. And I'm going to put a change Y. Let's see, as soon as it goes from costume 1, I want it to go up a little bit. I want it to switch to costume 3, wait a little bit, go up a little bit, switch to costume 2, and I want it to go up a little bit. Where's my change Y again? And let's see what that does for us. So my coin is flipping, it's going up and off the screen. 10's too much. Let's try 8. You'll notice it's jumping all the way down there at first. Hey, that's not bad. So let's go ahead and let's hit the easy button and duplicate this whole thing. Except now we don't want to change Y by 10. Let's go ahead and change it by -10 and -10 and -10. What my anticipation is going to flip, 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 flip up, and it's going to flip, 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 flip down, and it's going to look like a coin that just got flipped. Believe it or not, looks like to me the 0.1 seconds is almost too slow. But so now I'm picturing a button that says choose heads, and a button over here that says choose tails. And when I click that button, it's going to go up and down. You like that noise? And then we got to put the randomness in here. In fact, we probably ought to go ahead and put the randomness in right there. But for now, just get your coin, make your sprite, and do what I did. Make it flip up, make it flip down, and let's leave everything else, leave the next step to the next video.